Hi YouTube, it's the Fly Fishing Piper, and I'm coming today with a box opening of sorts and an observation. So first, the box opening. Um, Let me start by saying that I'm fortunate enough that I live in the Metro West area of Boston, so within a half hour or so of my home, I can be in three, maybe four different tobacco shops, which is um, quite a deal for me. The problem that I have, or the challenge that I have, is that getting into town for me means that I have $2 to $3 in tolls depending on how I go, and a minimum of $20 for parking. Now, if I'm just going into town for pipe tobacco, um, that makes pipe tobacco kind of an expensive event. So I do try to stop by tobacco shops whenever I'm in town as well. Um, but for the most part, I do a lot of my tobacco shopping online. Even with the cost of shipping, it's still cheaper than just taking a ride into town for tobacco. Um, in any case, I picked up some tobacco from Pipes&Cigars. It was their end of summer sale, so I decided I'd try some new things, as well as the standby. So the standby for me is Old Shenandoah. Um, Old Shenandoah I've had in my cellar for a long time. I like taking this with me when I go fly fishing. Um, when I'm bushcrafting, or when I take my grandkids out in the woods for a nature walk. So I'm teaching them some survival skills out in the woods. Lord knows, unfortunately, they're probably going to need it in this world. But anyway, I take them out in the wood, teach them some survival skills, teach them the different plants, teach them what poison ivy looks like, those kinds of things. So, and they get a kick out of it. We go out. There's some small brooks and some small ponds nearby, so I can take them there. They can do a little fishing, and I'll take a sandwich and some drinks in my backpack, and off we go. So that's a lot of fun. But in any case, back to the tobacco. Old Shenandoah is one of my favorites. I also picked up Scotty's Angler's Dream. Um, Seattle's Pipe Club's Deception Pass, and Seattle Pipe Club's Seattle Evening. Now, I opened the box, and it occurred to me I made one of those purchases that's kind of very similar to purchases that a lot of us fly fishermen make in fly shops. When you go to a fly shop, you'll notice that the fly area has thousands of different flies in it. There's wet flies and dry flies and streamers, and list goes on and on and on. Freshwater, saltwater, flies for bass, flies for trout, flies for stripers. I mean, there's all kinds of flies in there. And there's a saying in fly shops that a lot of flies are tied to catch fly fishermen more than they are fish. A lot of the flies that we use are kind of the same colors. They're earthy colors. Some are very, very small. They're pretty flies to a fly fisherman. To everyone else, they look like bugs, which is, I guess, the whole idea. But then there are those flies that you'll see that pop up on the fly shelf that are brightly colored. They're just gorgeous. They're beautiful. They're tied really nice, and they may or may not catch anything ever, but they look nice, and so we buy them. And my fly pouch, I must have a couple of hundred, without exaggerating, a couple hundred different types of flies in there. I mean, they're extremely small for most of them, but most are very utilitarian. They look like a bug. In the water, we put a little motion to it. They look like a bug. They move like a bug. And hopefully a trout is going to just sip one in before it has a chance to decide what it really is. Then there are others that look beautiful and they brighten up my fly box, but they're not necessarily great for catching fish. And it occurred to me it's kind of the same, at least for me, is kind of the same with pipe tobaccos. Now, just a side note. After I finished A school in the Navy, I was married, and my wife and I went to my first duty station, which was in Whidbey Island, Washington. I was in an A6 squadron, attached to an A6 squadron in Whidbey Island, Washington. So we left after our honeymoon, and we drove up from San Diego. We honeymooned in San Diego and drove up to just north of Seattle, Washington, to Whidbey Island. When we first approached the island, now that area is just gorgeous. Everything is dark, beautiful greens. The trees are massive. As we drove through this really thick forest and got to Deception Pass, there's a scenic outlook. We pulled over and took a look, and it's absolutely a postcard. I mean, it just was beautiful. A couple hundred yards away, there was a really tall tree that had an eagle's nest on the top of it with eagles in it. You could look out over the Puget Sound. And then off to the left, you see the bridge before you cross it. It's a big trestle bridge. There's actually an island in the middle of this river. I apologize, I can't remember the name of the river, but so the trestle bridge spans to the island and then over to the main island of Whidbey Island. It's massive, and it is just a beautiful, beautiful area. So when I was looking through the collection of tobaccos, Deception Pass caught my attention, and the Seattle Pipe Club collection of Deception Pass and Seattle Evening, I was hooked. So at least for me, that was one of the reasons why I bought it. I bought it even after having seen some videos, reviews on in YouTube on the tobacco, which frankly weren't all that great. Now, I've had a chance to smoke a bowl before I started this video. I actually enjoyed it. The room note, the tin note, when you first open it. Now, I don't have a great nose, so I apologize in advance, but I can smell the spicy perique. It has some of that English scent to it, and it smells like rum raisins. There's almost like I don't know if anyone still remembers fruitcakes, but it smells like a little bit like a rum fruitcake. So not so bad. Now, it's a combination. I won't read the entire description to you, but it says it's a combination of English style Virginias, Acadian Perique, Black Virginias, Black Cavendish, and a touch of Turkish Orientals. Now, it's really hard to read the description on this gray paper with dark gray writing, dark gray print. So it's a little tough, but that's what it says it is. The pipe, the bowl that I smoked it in my Savinelli champagne. Nice pipe for a quick bowl. I couldn't wait. It was like Christmas morning, so like any little kid, I opened up the tin and packed a bowl. I have to say, I kind of agree with the other reviews that I've seen on it. It's not a bad tobacco at all. It has a nice flavor. When you start to smoke it, you can taste the spicy perique in it. I didn't catch any of the Cavendish, but I'm sure it's in there. But it was a pleasant enough smoke. I think it says on the tin that the blender it reminds him of spending time quietly on Deception Pass. Now, I've got to say, I probably agree with that. Having smoked pipes in Deception Pass before and just enjoying being there, I think it kind of hits that mark. Um, is it the best tobacco I've had? No. I've certainly had a lot uh, less enjoyable tobaccos. So I think I'd probably give it a C plus, maybe a B for a rating. It's a good tobacco. It's one worth certainly worth trying. I'm looking forward to trying the Seattle Evening. See how that works out. But as far as the Deception Pass tobacco itself, I think it's a good, it's decent enough tobacco. It was enjoyable. Um, I have other tobaccos that I think I would smoke before I open the tin again to have some. But overall, it was a decent enough tobacco and one that I think you'll like. So if you get a chance, try it for yourself. I would be really interested in hearing from people, other pipe smokers, as to what you have in your cellar and maybe if there are any tobaccos in there that you're comfortable enough in saying that you bought because of the name or because of the label. And I can tell you, I bought Deception Pass and Seattle Evening because of their names. Um, Now, as an educated buyer, I read the reviews and I looked at the ingredients and said, yeah, this is going to be a sound tobacco. But the truth be known, the name hooked me. So um, that's my story. But I'd love to know if there are any that you have in your pipe cellar, that you bought because of the name or because of the packaging. In any event, I wish everyone tight lines. Have a great day, good smokes, and take care.